Welcome back everyone to this tutorial series. So we saw on the previous video how we determined our path and customized our icon. We also displayed this beautiful colorful card, okay? And we also spoke about these routing profiles, okay? And for the moment we are hard coding our routing profile, okay? So by default it's walking, and today we will allow the user to choose the routing profile he wants. And this path right here, whenever the user chooses a new routing profile, this route right here needs to be updated instantly without refreshing the app. And we will be having a small list here with the routing profiles icons, and yeah, once the user clicks on it, this route right here needs to be updated, okay? And the infos here also will be updated, okay? So yeah, this will be today's video, okay? So let's start. So the first thing we need to do is to import our flat list, because we will be displaying the routing profile on a flat list, okay? So for that, let's type here flat list, okay? The next thing we need to do is to determine our routing profiles, okay? So in order to define our routing profiles, we will type here route profiles. We'll have an array. So the first thing is ID will be walking, okay? We will be having also a label walking, and an icon will be also walking, because we have an icon named walking, okay? So it really depends on the icon name. We can't, for example, put here cycling. There is no icon called or named cycling, okay? So let's choose here cycling, and these for example variables right here depends on what we have here, okay? We can't put anything, okay? It really depends on what we have here, okay? So cycling, we'll type here cycling, and here let's say bicycle, okay? Because there is an icon called bicycle. And the last one will be driving. Let's type here driving, and the icon normally it's car, okay? So we should next define our selected route profile variable. So for that we need a new state here. Let's put it, okay, let's type it here, okay? Let's use our snippet. So let's name it selected route profile, okay? This will be a string, okay? And by default it's walking. It's like Google Maps. For example, if you open Google Maps and you chose if you want to go to store, and you when it determines your route, it will be triggered by default with the walking routing profile, okay? And then you have the ability to choose whether you want to use your car or your bicycle or like public transport. We'll be using that logic. So when the user enters the screen, the walking routing profile is triggered by default in the beginning, and then the user will have the ability to choose another one, okay? So by default it's walking, okay? So the next thing is we need to define, let's comment this, we need to define here, if we have a selected route profile, if the user selected route profile, okay? So what it needs to be done, so in order to, this route needs to be like needs to be updated dynamically and instantly, we need to call it in a use effect, okay? So the create router line, which is our function that determines this route right here, needs to be updated depending on what the user selected as a routing profile. So for that, let's say if selected route selected route profile is not null. We will call our create router line. We will pass chords. For the moment we only have chords as an argument, but then we will be having also the selected route profile. Okay, and we need to pass this variable right here to be updated. Okay, so what's next? So the next thing we need to do is actually to update our create router line, which is here. We will add here the, let's name the variable route profile, and this will be string. Okay, and this, for the moment we are hard coding it, it's working, but now it needs to be dynamic. So for that we will name it route profile. Good. So now we made our create router line dynamic. So whenever the user chooses another or a new routing profile, this needs to be triggered, and this needs to be changed automatically depending on what the user chose. Okay, so here we have an error because we added another argument. So that's what we are going to do right here too. Okay, so what can we do here? We can, for example, let's say selected route profile, and that's all. So the next thing we need to do is to create our route profiles list. So for that we need to determine our flat list, and for that we need to define it. Since we will be displaying the flat list in the bottom of our map, so it's preferable that we place it here. And as I mentioned, you can't put a tag except the ones from Mapbox GL inside the Mapbox GL. If you put a text tag here, you will be having an error. Okay, so if you want something to be, for example, inside your map, you need to play with the styles a bit. Okay, but if you want to put it here, for example, you'll be facing some errors. Okay, so let's determine our flat list. So let's say here flat list, it's a self-closing tag, of course. So what do we need inside? So the first thing and the most important thing is our data. So our data will be let's say a route profiles, the one that we defined in the beginning of our component. Okay, so we need also render item, and this function right here will determine the shape of our flat list. Okay, did we do we have a, yeah, it's a typo, it's route profiles. Okay, it will be fixed. I still have the VS Code lag, I don't know, it's really causing me some issues. So we need also the key extractor, and let's say item, it will be item.id. Okay, the ones that we determined here, because we have ID, label, and icon. So yeah, we will be working with the ID. You can put label here, it won't be an issue since the route profiles are unique. Okay, so you won't be facing any issue. Okay, but you will be using the classic way, which is the ID. So the display needs to be horizontal, and if you put horizontal like this, it means horizontal equals true by default. And we need the container style, which will be styles, and what can we name it? Let's say route profile list, maybe. Yep. Okay, this needs to be in uppercase. Okay. Let's also not forget to remove the scroll indicator. No, this will be yeah, show horizontal. This needs to be false actually. Yeah, if you put true here, it will display the scroll indicator, and we don't want that in our app for the moment because sometimes you don't need it. But if you have, for example, a very long list, you probably will need it to scroll or something. But yeah, it really depends on you. You can put true or false. It depends on you. And the style, let's say styles dot flat. Let's name it flat list. Okay. This needs to be uppercase. Okay, perfect. So now we need to determine our render item, and then we will determine our list, our styles. Okay. So for that, let's go up here, and let's say, okay, where should we put it? Yeah, right before. Let's say here. Okay. So const render item. Okay, so we need our item, of course, and let's say here that the item string, we also have the label, which is also a string, and the icon is also a string. Okay, so and now we need to determine our what's inside our this render item. So the first thing we need to do is a touchable opacity, and as I mentioned, the touchable opacity replaces the button in React Native. We don't have a button in React Native, but we have the touchable opacity. Okay, so let's determine the styles of this button or this touchable opacity. Okay, so let's say styles dot route profile button here, and the item dot id equals to selected file here. So here the button shape or the styling depends on whether the user clicked on the button or not. Okay, so this is the meaning of this line here. So let's name it, for example, selected route profile button. Okay, what else? So yeah, let's also define the on press. So here we have an on press. So what can we type here? Let's say for example set selected, it should detect it. Set selected profile, type here item.id. Okay, so what else? I guess it's everything. Okay, but we have, it's lagging, so it will, we'll see. I don't know, did I forget something? No, it's lagging. So you see, this is a huge issue of my VS Code. I don't know what happened, and it's really a burden, especially that it's not tracking the errors or fixing the errors instantly. Okay, so now we need an icon, and we need the name, of course, and it depends on what the user choose or what we mentioned on our list. So the size will be 24, and the color, let's say here item.id selected route profile will be white, or RGBA, let's say 0.6. Perfect. So what's the problem here? Okay, it will probably disappear later. So we also need what else do we need? We also need text, yeah, so we can display the label. So we need a text tag right here, and it is not self-closing tag, so let's style it. Okay, so style. Let's say here route profile button text, and item.id equals selected profile, selected route profile, route profile button text. Perfect. And here we will put item.label since we have the label. Okay, what else? I guess it's everything. Now we just need, okay, did I import text tag or not? Nope. Okay, so now we need to define our styles, so let's begin. So let's go here, for example, and let's start typing. Okay, so we need, let's start with route profile list. Okay, so here we having padding vertical, which will be 10, padding horizontal, which also be 10, background color, let's put here transparent, and what else, z index will be 1. Okay, so this is for the first one. Now the flat list. Okay, so position needs to be absolute, bottom will be 20, left is called dimensions dot get window dot width -40, and what else, let's put here right equals to 0, and background color transparent, and z index will be 1. Okay, so flat list is finished. Perfect. Now we need the route profile button. So route profile button, we need the width 80 and the height also 80, border radius, let's say, no, I want it to be circle, full circle, so it will be 40, margin horizontal margin hardness, okay, will be let's say 8, border color Border width, let's define the border width. It should be 1. Align items, let's put here center. Justify content also needs to be center. The background color should be RGBA 0, 0, say 0.4. Okay, so the route profile button. So what's next? So selected route profile button. Okay, so background color will be 14. Border color will be also the same. What else? So I guess select the right profile button. Okay, it's everything for this one right here. So did I okay, it's lagging again. So now we need to define right profile button text. Okay, so right profile button text. So what can we have here? Let's say color will be okay. And what else do we need? Color, and let's say margin top okay. 5. Okay, what else? The selected right profile button text, it's the last one. So here it will be simply white. Okay, good. So let's go back here, and I guess we finished everything. Now it will be the moment of truth. So let's refresh our app. Okay, so let's choose the second one. So we have our list here. Perfect. It's automatically it shows automatically the walking. So normally right now it will display the route using the walking route profile. Okay, so let's test right now. For example, if I want to use my car, you see it updated instantly, and this data right here also updated. If I choose with bicycle, for example, it will be updated too. Good. So here we have the dynamic routing profile. Okay, and the good thing about it is that Mapbox provides a very dynamic directions API, because it updates directly and chooses an alternative route depending on the routing profile. As you can see here, for example, if I chose walking, it will choose another path. Okay, if I choose cycling or maybe driving, for example, it will be updated. Good. So we finished with today's video. You can always improve this list right here, but yeah, maybe in the future. But the most important thing, what really matters, is now we are literally making a Google Maps clone. Okay, so as a conclusion, what we have done today, so let's go back to our code. So the first thing we done here is to define our route profiles. Okay, you can add the fourth one, but it's literally the same as driving. Okay, so the first thing we have done is we imported our flat list, then we defined our route profiles, and then we defined the selected route profile, which will be walking by default in the beginning, of course. As mentioned here, when we enter this component, it was selected as walking in the beginning, so this will be by default walking. And then we went to the use effect hook and we tested if there is a selected route. If the user selected a route profile, we need to update our create router line, which is the one responsible for the update of the or the creation of the route of this route right here with the orange color. Okay, so when the user, where's the hook? Okay, so if the user chose a route profile, so if it is not null, it will be also we added this selected route profile variable, and we have put it here to be updated. Okay, so what else? We also defined a second argument here, a second parameter, and instead of the walking, we used to hard code this this part right here, the routing profile. It was walking before, and now it will be dynamic. So here it really depends on what the user selected. Okay, as I mentioned here, if you select cycling, it will choose cycling, and then it will determine another route. Okay, and also the data, maybe it's a bit it's not instant, but because maybe my computer or my emulator is a bit lagging, but yeah, normally it's instant. Okay, you see. So what else? We also determined our flat list, and as I mentioned, it needs to be written here right before the map view, because we need to display it in the bottom of our map. You can put it whenever you want, and you can play with the styles and everything, but yeah, I chose here. Okay, so we defined our data and the render item, which is this function right here, and you need to define the render item, as I mentioned, to define the shape of your flat list. Okay, so as you can see that we had a lot of styles, and we had the icon, the text. So it's here where all the work you need to do in order to display a very beautiful flat list. You can also, and you can always improve the styles of your flat list. Okay, and I try to make it much simpler in terms of design, etc. I don't want to spend a lot of time in styling, and that's all. That's all for today's. We finally defined our styles here. We defined the route profile list and everything, and yeah, so it's everything for today's video. I hope you learned something new, and yeah, so we are literally getting closer for our final output, which is to create something, let's say, similar to Google Maps. Why not? And yeah, so see you on the next video. Bye.